Welcome to WtFun podcast with Kimmy,
Kisa,
and Renee.
Glad you can join us as we explore all aspects of entertainment and current events with industry professionals, friends, and us. Welcome. And we are now at episode 10. We've hit the double digits. Episode 10. I cannot believe
10! And we're already in September.
I know. This all started back in May, and we're like 3 episodes away from, 2 episodes after this one, from wrapping up season 1. Yay, ladies, we did it.
Woohoo!
Makes me so excited. I love that we have, our followers, our listeners, just engaging with us and just sharing how much they enjoy our show. It was really cool to hear from some of my colleagues, share some of their favorite episodes. One included the episode on, I just said it earlier. Which one was it? Jason Donter, episode 1. One really enjoyed Jason's episode because it resonated with him and his kid's situation with having to do like theater online. And so that was, very resourceful. And then also Kathy, someone who wasn't familiar with the fashion industry, was just like really intrigued by the marketing process and how she, handles business. So it's really cool to hear other people talk about the episode because that's what we want. We want people to talk about what they learned from, our guests and their favorite moments. And they like the little takeaways at the end as well. So,
yeah. The last episode with Abel Ceballos was, for me, very special because it reconnected me with a lot of my alumni friends from Cal State Fullerton and just sending them messages on Facebook and then being excited about hearing him. And then I've heard some feedback from them as well. They could listen to the episode a couple of times, if not more, just to hear him. So it's nice to reach out, and having this as a platform to do that is great. It has been great. And I'm excited about this particular episode as well, because there's going to be some really good gems, good tidbits.
I know. I can't believe it. We're doing it. We said we were going to, and look at us now.
Coming to conclusion of season 1. That means that we're going to have season 2, guys. Don't worry. We're going to have season 2 coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to tell you guys. So I failed on one in one of my duties, and that was checking some of our messages. And there were a couple questions that came in our inbox from some of our followers. Anyway, we do have a question that came in last week from one of our listeners named Anthony Sierra. And he asks, okay, I'll just read what he wrote. Hi, friends. I have a question I want to submit. Here I am. So in your episodes, you mentioned that you've spoken to your guests the night before the actual recorded episode. What kinds of things do you talk about during the meeting, and how does it help the episode making process?
Ooh.
Who wants to take that? Who wants to take it?
Well, actually, we started doing it after we interviewed Jason. Luckily, we all knew Jason, so it was helpful, but we realized that we would have guests on our shows that we all 3 didn't know. So we decided to just do like a pre-meet and greet so that we could just kind of break the ice and cut through all of the, uneasiness of meeting people. So we just, so we could just prep our guests and prep ourselves on which direction we wanted to take the interview. So that was a great thing that we learned.
Thank God we learned episode 1.
Yeah.
Because we were able to apply it for the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very helpful too, because it just helps the context of the episode. And granted, the conversation is just as good as when we do the interview. And sometimes we're like, ooh, which one, trying to recreate the magic that happens the first time around. But it still happens eventually for the second episode as well. So it's been interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's also gauging our guests' personality too, and them getting to know us, how each of us stand out with our unique personalities. But, for them to see how we roll and how they roll gives us an idea of how the conversation's going to go. Majority of the time, all of our guests tend to give us so much more than we have to pull from them, and gives us a lot of materials for us to, look at. So we're very thankful to have guests who love to just talk and share and can go on and on and on. And it's the meet and greets to me are fun, and they're just as good as the interview. And to what Renee was saying, sometimes it goes better than the actual interview.
Just comes up. And also the other thing is that we can talk people through working all this technology, because we record everything in our own homes, like separately. We are not together recording this, socially distant at a picnic table. So it's like, we all have to walk everybody through this, because it's a process,
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And people get confused, and it's fine because we've been doing this. So it's easier for us to walk the guests through.
And we've had a lot of interesting technical situations on the show.
A whole lot.
I think my favorite, though, is Kimmy. When we were recording a cubicle chat and her voice just got completely distorted and it just sounded like an alien. It was fantastic.
I had no idea what was going on, because all I can see were these two, Keisa and Renee, just laughing and going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm talking normal and I can hear them normally on the other end. But apparently I sounded completely different on the other side, and they were rolling. It was so funny to them that Renee started recording with her phone my voice,
it was
just
great.
so that. And it happened not once but twice.
Yeah, twice. That's the best part.
Yeah. So then Keisa was able to record it the second time, I believe. So
yeah,
that's great.
It's so funny.
Oh, and the other one was okay, so again, we're in our homes and we record via Zoom, and we use a different thing to actually record the audio, but we can see what's going on in each other's houses. And Kimmy's there and her husband, somebody knocks at the door and the husband walks out, comes back with a bag and a package, and then turns out to be the trash bag.
Oh yeah,
the neighbor dropped off thinking it was a package because it was in an Amazon bag, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. And it's funny because the Amazon bag was very big. It was huge. And so we're like, oh, it's big enough to put our trash in. Why pull out another trash bag when you already got this? So we started putting our trash inside, and then we put it by the door because we were planning on taking it down. And then our awesome neighbor who was being very mindful of, stuff, knocked on our door and said, hey, you have a delivery. We completely forgot about the trash and totally thought it was another delivery package. So we're like, oh my gosh, yay, well, that's a big package. And then when we open it up, we're like, oh my God, that's the trash. How did we forget that was the trash? I don't know.
It happens.
It does happen. It happens.
Oh, and then interviews. During the interviews, we've had a lot of good times with our guests as well that have been fun.
I mean, everybody has a life, right? So it's not just you in your house by yourself. I mean, maybe it is you in your house by yourself, but people have, their loved ones over, their significant others, and you're just life is happening outside of this recording.
Their pets. Okay, so I think we kept it in Paul Rico's episode.
I think we did. I don't remember.
Where the cat was just crying because he needed to, I think he was doing his business.
Oh, that was Simon. That was Simon's cat.
What? No, I think that was Paul's cat.
Was it Paul's cat?
Yes. Yeah. Simon's cat came and showed up at the end of the episode and was like, okay, I'm going to make my
just jumped right
appearance
up.
This one last time. And then in this episode that we're airing today, even though TG TGFE, thank God for for editing. We had a cat who needed to get out of the room and was like,
so funny.
Just meowing like crazy. So let's not forget about our pets. Kimmy, your dog always makes a presence as well.
Oh yeah, I think he made an appearance in this episode too.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Keisha's dog, Lila, just chills in the back.
As you can see here, she's asleep.
Oh my gosh.
She's just taking
she has to be with me. So it's like, she'll just come in here and she'll just sleep. But then I'll know when she's like ready to get up and like go do something else, because she'll just start yawning so loudly. That's her way. I don't know.
All because funny. We can't be in person. We can't be together in person, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, we've made it happen. So I think we found a good way of creating these episodes without having to be in person.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But it has been fun to get to see each other. I mean, last weekend, we spent some time together.
Yes.
And had a little photo shoot.
Yeah, shout out to Angel for taking those photos. Yes. They turned out awesome.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, so the good thing about like getting to see each other was just like having girl time and actually hanging out. And, and this episode, I feel we do that as well, but we get to talk about the hustle about being in the entertainment business as an actor. Because again, success can be considered differently. It's all weighed differently, and I don't know what I'm saying. Somebody help.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes people don't really understand what it actually takes to be quote unquote successful in this business, because it is not an easy ride. And I think we've demonstrated that just over the last couple months with these episodes of just having that resiliency. And, these ladies, Laura and Arely, they're the prime example of that. They're out there, they're auditioning. Doesn't matter how big or how small the role is.
Or what they're looking for.
Exactly.
They break the barriers, I mean, it's one thing, like they might be looking for a particular look, opposite of what one person actually looks like. But then when they see that person, that could change it's a game changer right there. That could change the whole, casting. And hey, you know what? I kind of like this person's look. I mean, it's one thing to learn, or not learn, but to have that talent in the craft. But then the other component to this is truly hustling, pushing yourself out there even more, being a pit bull and aggressive for these, gigs. You're hungry for it. You want it, and these ladies really know how to like get themselves out there and not just let, one thing get in the way, and like rejection. Absolutely not. These ladies are badass in my book. They're so awesome. I love them. They make me want to audition.
Yay, you should.
You should. Yeah, and it's about the journey, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Usually we think about the end goal and getting to the end goal, but once you get there, it's like you're there. And what you really enjoyed is the process. It's the journey. It's going through whatever it is, this podcast, going through the learnings of all of that. That is the fun part. That is you actually living out your dream, even though you're just thinking, oh, I have to get to that thing first, that goal first, in order for me to feel like successful. And that's not the case. You should be enjoying the process as it is, because what you're doing now is part of that. It's part of that success. It's part of that dream. It's part of living out your life, So Get to it, Kimmy. Go audition.
I'm on it.
Let's not wait any longer. Let's go ahead and bring these ladies in.
Yay.
Oh, wait, I'm bringing them in. So Today we have two individuals who I respect very much and am inspired by every day. I met them back in 2002, 2003 era at the Frida Kahlo Theater, where I had the honor of sharing the stage with them in the production of Las Mujeres de Juárez in what seems like a lifetime ago, but a lifetime I hold near and dear to my heart. Please welcome to the show these two kick-ass, strong Latina actors who commonly share an extensive background and credits in television, film, commercial, and stage. Arely Araniva Cross and Laura Vega. Welcome to WtFun. Yay!
Thank you very much for having us.
Welcome.
We are so excited to have you guys here today. We really are. We got the opportunity of chatting yesterday, and you got to meet both Kisa and Kimmy, and they got to meet you. And these ladies are just as impressed by you as I am. So welcome. We are so excited.
Thank you.
So we are here today to discuss the hustle of being in the business and to show that success can be defined in many ways, especially for a long-lasting career in acting here at in Hollywood. It's not about, yes, we can reach the heights of the Kerry Washingtons, Selma Hayeks, and Brad Pitts of the world, but there is also finding success in, the everyday. You guys have a long-lasting career. You've been in the business for a while. And Arely, you have family that's in the business. So you're not only managing yourself, but you're managing them. Laura, you've been in the business for quite a while and continue to be successful in it. So to start us off, both of you started your careers when you were much younger in dancing. Laura, you were a Folklorico dancer, and Arely, you were a spinning dreidel.
I was.
A
very good one, too. I've been taking every gig I can since day one.
So what did you guys discover back then? What drew you? What did you discover when you started doing Folklorico and spinning as a dreidel?
The reason why that dreidel story, I like to share it, but before I even used to share it, it was just kind of like my little story, was because that was like the moment where I was like, I found the thing I love. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But and then also because, like I shared with you guys yesterday, I wasn't being exposed. Like nobody knew it was me. I was inside like a big thing, just spinning, right? But I felt like that love that you feel when you only touch the stage, mm-hmm. And for anyone who has ever fallen in love with the stage, only we know what that feels like, whether it's in a little theater, doing guerrilla theater at a Starbucks, or whether it's a big ass theater, right? Like, that high that you mm-hmm. get when you touch mm-hmm. a stage. So I felt that high when I was 5 years old, I'm like, this is, and they don't have to see me. I mean, be great, right? But they don't have to. I know I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, that was it. Like, that was just like the beginning of where the game began. And then after that, it was just tasting a little bit of this and tasting a little bit of that. But to always stay on stage was always been the ultimate goal, and then to be able to be part of whatever the creation is like that high that keeps you finish one show and then you're like, I can't wait to get that next high, right? That's like the mm-hmm. drug. That's the drug mm-hmm. that I've been feeling like I've been chasing for years, and you miss it when you're not doing it, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about you, Laura?
My mom had a little doll. So when I was born, I was her doll, and she would put me in beauty pageants. You see it? Beauty pageants that I hated. But the dancing at least was physical. At least was physical. And not only that, I had a great friend my friend Sandra, who showed me that if we dance, we get boyfriends. So we get boyfriends and we become this show. So it was, I think for me, the arts or this kind of entertainment became a way an in for me in various different settings. And then when I came to the United States, as I was telling, it became my way in to bring my culture and show it into my predominantly white grammar school. And they embraced it. I had a third grade teacher who embraced, cultural things, but dancing and the arts was my way in, and it was a way to share myself. And not only that, it was it was a way to communicate with community, to be with everyone. And I didn't at that time see myself as an immigrant. I just saw myself as a human. And then you talk about that idea of, well, it wasn't my choice to come here. Believe me, it wasn't my choice to come here. And it wasn't something that I was asked. And so the way that my therapy was the arts, that's a place to go, and then I found it out later on that the stage was a place to have a voice as a woman of color, as an immigrant, and a lot of people didn't even know. They're like, you're from Mexico, but you speak such, and it's like, oh, I don't need to educate anyone. I'm just like, yeah, okay, and move on, So the arts, theater especially, became such an important part of, learning about yourself and also representing your community, so to speak.
For the most part, telling any parent that you want to go into like acting, anything in the entertainment industry as a professional is definitely not an easy thing to do because they don't get it. They don't understand it. My parents, my dad especially, both of my parents immigrated to the States from the Philippines, and my dad, who comes from like a small side of the country, he came from a large family. They were poor, but he busted his butt to get to the United States. And out of like 14 children, he is like one that made it out of that little island into the United States to establish a professional career. And each of his siblings all had professional jobs. They were doctors, they were lawyers, they were teachers, educators, engineers. And my dad was a civil engineer. So my cousins also followed that footsteps. And for me, of course, he had plans. He wanted me to be a professional, but just didn't get it. He didn't get the entertainment industry because I was very much passionate about acting. And when I mentioned wanting to be a performer, it was a struggle. The struggle was so real because he just never understood the entertainment industry. Now, I know you ladies came from, a family of immigrants as well. And I know that I'm sure it was hard for you. Can you share what that experience was like with your families when you chose acting as a profession?
I come from a family of immigrants. We already pointed that out. And the arts, unfortunately, in my experience, weren't necessarily applauded. They were just more like on the side. Because, they want you to succeed. And artistically in this world, when you are an immigrant at the time, that's just not where the game was. It was more realistic for me to say, I like to teach, right? Or I like to, maybe I'll be a lawyer. Like that was the stuff that's like, you can't really show up to mom and dad who are hustling to pay next month's rent and be like, I want to be an actor. Like, yeah, they're like, watch a novela, put on your little TV show here and act here. But it wasn't something that was like, pushed, and not because they don't want you, but because it's hard. It's hard, and they don't want you to have your heart broken.
Yeah.
Right. And, I wanted my mom to come to the conferences and they tell her, Arely's good at public speaking. Like your daughter's really good at the arts. Because I know what they were going to tell her about math. You know what I mean? So I needed.
So it's just a way of avoiding.
I'm like, can we focus? Why we gotta be negative? I'm like, can we focus on what I'm good at?
I have one better. So my parents are really, really strict, old school Mexicanos, where school is like, so anytime you got called into school, it was bad. It wasn't a good thing, It was the same when I told them I wanted to be an actor. I might as well have told them that I wanted to be, a prostitute. No, it gets better. So then fast forward, I'm a professional now, and I invite my immediate family to a play at the Old Globe Theater, La Nona, right? And so I invite them to a play at the Old Globe Theater. Well, my mom and dad, it's the first time they've ever supported me, and it's by San Diego, tons of family. So what do? They invite the whole family, my family, to come down and check me out. Guess what role I'm playing in this?
Oh God.
I'm the young girl who thinks she's a pharmacist, but in fact she's having sex in her room to support her family. So she's a prostitute. And I'm like, and I didn't know my family was not going to come. So when they see me, they at the end afterwards, they're trying to stay to say hello to me. They were like, I love her. Because it's like, it's the Old Globe. Lots of people there. I'm like in a negligee, and I was like, oh my God. And so that's the interesting, background with our families and what it is about our career, and then I just stopped telling them. I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing a commercial. Yeah, whatever, I wouldn't even tell them what I was doing. I'm like, I'm done. I can't. I can't,
Oh my God. I love that. You guys are cracking me up. So ladies, tell me about the audition process. Do you guys feel like nowadays, more recently, you guys are being called in for roles that you wouldn't normally be called in for?
Yeah, the thing is, this business changes second by second. What people want. What they put out on a call sheet is so different than what they want in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. And then so much goes into it, So once again, things are changing. But there was a time where Black Latinas was just something they weren't even going to bother with. They like to see you. They like to see you. They love to see you. They love to see you at the auditions. They call you back, but we're just not ready to go that route. Straight to your face. And you could speak the clear, perfect Spanish, perfect English, perfect everything. But they used to think that it was just not the route they wanted to go. Always. They wanted to stay very boxed in to what, that look that fits everywhere, right? So what I've learned about this audition process is if you have the opportunity to audition. Period. It doesn't even matter if you don't even fit what they're looking for, because you just never know. That's the thing with this business. You never know. You can walk into an audition and next thing you know, there's like 7 people sitting there. And that one person is the one who is actually in charge of making all these changes, and something about you he or she might have liked. You just don't know. So if you get a chance to just get in there and show a little bit of what you are capable of doing, you're putting in a seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to think and to have that to be present when you walk in a room, and even the receptionist is your casting person, even your receptionist, you never know where he or she is going to end up tomorrow. But the other thing that I learned is that before I had my child, I was running with filmmakers, small independent filmmakers, or people who just had the idea to write, or people who had the idea to create in any way, shape, or form. And what I've learned, which was really interesting, that had nothing to do with the audition process, is you can find out about projects that are being made. Like one time I was at a party and my friend goes, I go, why do I need to be here? This party sucks. Everybody's all dressed up. They're all fake, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Laura, do you know who that is over there? And I'm like, no. And then they would tell me. And it's like, and I go, well, what, am I supposed to go over there and schmooze? And he goes, no, let it happen naturally. That's another way. Like that was a different way. Oh, what project? Listen, read. What projects are being made? And as soon as like at the second, I remember writing a letter to one of my favorite playwrights because I knew his play was coming up. And I'm like, I want to do this. I'm, blah, 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 blah. And then by the time the letter got to him, they had already been cast in San Francisco. So I was a little bit bummed. But the fact that he wrote me back The playwright wrote me back, you know? So there's a different way of approaching the industry that I was like completely blind. I had no idea. Instead of just waiting, because all I did was wait for my auditions. That's it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait because I have two agents. I have a commercial agent and I have a theatrical agent. Well, they know what I'm good for. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
You know, what I want to know is, because you ladies are so busy actors, and, landing all these gigs left and right. How was it with handling rejection in the earlier years of your acting career? How did you deal with handling rejection from casting directors? And what would you advise those future actors as well when it comes to handling rejection?
Well, flat out, if you can't handle a rejection, you have no business in this business, period.
That's the hustle.
Yeah, you got to come in already with a thick skin, rejection for me didn't start hurting until Latinos rejected me a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow. So I was cool with I was cool with being rejected. Like I was like, I knew it was part of the hustle. I know a lot of these people are going to say no to me. Right. But, I must still go because, I'm like, one day the stars are going to shine on me. One day. So I can take 10 no's. I just need one yes.
Right.
How is the rest of Hollywood going to accept you when your own peeps don't? Then it starts to kind of make you think like that. Like, I'm like, well, no wonder I haven't made it. Because you all don't want to be represented by somebody that looks like this. This is not the girl you're trying to send. Right? So then it kind of makes you feel a little bit, but then at the same time, it also makes you want to walk out and be like, well, you're going to get used to seeing me because I'm going to be back. You know what I mean? And be back.
So for me, if I look at something differently, then it changes the way I walk into space. So the casting people, they don't want you not to be it. There's a reason why you're in that space. There's a reason why you're there. I've never taken it personal unless it was something that I really wanted. And the other thing is, I remember going into an audition. And these are audition stories, but I remember going into audition, right? And I walk in. One of my friends, I could see her go, ugh. Meaning that when I walk in, I'm going to get the job. I walk in with sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they just go, well, this is mine. Everybody can leave. I'm sorry, but you can leave. This role is not a big deal, but I know I'm going to get it. Right? And I walk in with that. My friend saw it and her head went down. And at that moment, I wanted to grab her and say, you know what? Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. Don't let anybody take your power away from you. She's my friend. She's someone that I know, but hey, she's my competition. You think I'm going to tell her that at that moment? No, I'm going to get the job. And then I'm going to go.
And then I'm going to send her a text later.
My check clears. Let me talk to you. I noticed that. And that happens. And the only reason I'm bringing that up, it's happened to me when I walked in and I've recognized somebody and I go, oh, well, I can't possibly get it. And I take myself out.
So, and that's something you guys touched about yesterday and a little bit earlier today. It's like walking in with that power, right? That knowing yourself and walking in with the power and kind of letting it go at the same time so that you can book the job. Can you guys talk a little bit more about that? Because like you mentioned, Arely, like you can walk in, it might not be for you, that particular role, but you're going to at least leave an impression that they're going to come back and be like, oh, wait a minute, I remember that girl. Or they can change something because of your energy. Both of you touched a little bit about that yesterday. Can you share a little bit of that with us today?
I think that, that for me, the stuff that I have booked are the ones that I've put less effort into. But when I say effort, yeah,
I think that's it. You're authentic in yourself.
Yeah, so not like I'm showing up all raggedy and not giving an F. No, not that kind of no effort, right? But like the kind of effort where, like, I haven't overthought about it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because there's stuff that I have overthought about, like 2 days in advance, and over researched and overwhelmed myself, and then I showed up too robotic, right? But the stuff that I have booked, man, one I booked with just a smile. quite honestly. The director told me, he goes, I love your smile. You genuinely look happy. And I'm like, and then I said, but can I say my line? Because I memorized it. Right? It gotta, so, but yeah, so I guess my answer is I didn't really have a lot. I don't remember doing much other than just showed up and did it and walked out feeling very casual.
Mm-hmm. You ladies have such a fucking infectious personality. Like, I cannot stop laughing at you two. I love the fact that both of you are so charismatic, so exuberant. You guys just put off this freaking crazy positive energy. And just being so strong is very inspiring. You going to those auditions with confidence and whatnot. Where do you get your strength from? Where do you get this power, this strength to do what you do to be successful?
B12?
B12. B12. She's like,
are you talking about B12, the vitamins, or being
12
years old?
Or be 12 years old. I like the 12-year-old.
On the daily, a girl cannot live without them vitamins.
I'm like, look, the world needs us, Arely. The world needs us. Anyone who's having a day and you walk in and you assess the situation like a cop, and you're like, okay, what is needed here? What is needed here? What is needed here? Oh, there's a lot of shit y'all need here. Let me give you some energy. Let me give you some life. Yeah. And I'm going to show you something that you haven't seen because you're not very smart and your imagination is limited by what I look like. You know, let me show you. Let me show you what you need to see. I think we're gonna see, and I'm very happy for Arely. You're gonna see a drastic change that's gonna come at you. Like, be ready for those roles. Be ready for some idiot to say, you know what? We should get a woman of color to play the lead role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kimmy, it's passion. That's where you get the energy. You know what I'm saying? That one thing that you love, right? That is just like you have to do it. So when you're down and out, there's something that keeps you going, right? We all have a goal. We all have a dream. Right. We all have for us, it's catching that next high. You know what I mean? So it's the love for the love of being rejected, girl. The love of being, still in the game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's the love of still being, see, you got to stay, you got to stay playing at all times.
Yeah.
You have to be all the time. That's the only way it works. Yeah.
Always got to be ready to bat. I love that. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Something that you said, Laura, that I agree with is that I do, especially right now in this time, I do see this business changing. And I do see that we will have so much more representation on the stage, on the screen, wherever we are, because now is the time, and there's so many people of color, white people who want that representation, because it's 2020.
It's about damn time.
How does it not happen?
Like, why are we still even having the conversation, right? Like, why on how we're gonna get the chance, right?
Well, but you have to think about the fact that it's been centuries and centuries, right?
Centuries.
And you have to kind of you have to abolish all that shit. So it takes a minute.
Yeah, it's true.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but you both are moms. So how do you guys balance having a family and working in this business? Because we all know that our schedules are jam-packed and quite demanding.
I forget which director was talking to which director about. He was thinking about he said he didn't want a family because it would interfere with his career. Like, that's what he said. And then the retort was, it's because of my family that I have a career. Because it gives you a different gravitas that you don't have. It changes your perspective. It gives you a whole new set of tools that you didn't think you had before. And it's doable. It's so doable.
It's so super doable.
It gets over. It's so right. I mean, it's not like I'm a single mom, and I'm never complaining. You never hear me going, "Oh my god," you know. It's doable. It's
Yeah,
not.
I complain all the time. I complain all the time.
No, it's okay to complain. No, it's okay to complain.
But it is super doable. For me, it was like, I brought my kids into the business, of course, knowing that it might not be for them, right? So far, it's worked out where they all have the bug enough to, where everybody's, doing it and stuff. So it makes it easier because the interest is the same. But the other reason why it's so important for me is because their mama ain't no quitter. So how can I expect for them not to quit whatever it is that they're going through or raise them in that way if I, at this point in my life, can't handle the heat? Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Right? So it's kind of like lead by example. So I would love for them to one day say, we only know for my mom to be an actor. She never stopped. Maybe she didn't make it big or whatever, but she was at the Frida Kahlo Theater every weekend, or she was at auditions trying to get a commercial, or whatever it is that I'm doing. It is important for me, for them to know that that when you have a dream, you got to stick to it.
Yeah.
And I can't teach that unless I myself am doing it.
Wow. That's awesome. As we wrap up, do you guys have any last little bits of words of wisdom to give to our listeners? This is the super soul moment.
The super soul moment.
Yeah. And it could be anything, right? It could be advice. It could also be something that's driven you in your personal lives, like why you do it at the end of the day, other than it being a drug, right? So it could be anything.
If it's something that you really love, don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on the one thing that you love. Even if it's not this, whatever it is, whatever it is. And just because your name is not shining doesn't mean you're not doing it. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're not living your dream. Just because people don't know who you are, that doesn't mean your dream isn't a reality, right? And it might shine one day or it might not, but the reality is that you are working, you're in the game. For me, that's all I could say.
Well said. Well said.
I think just like what we do using our creativity, I think use that creativity to think outside the box as to how to go about your auditions, your career, yourself. I think if you use your creativity in everything that you're doing, it'll take you a long way. Just look at things differently. View a character differently, view an audition differently, view your finances differently, view everything in a different way. Use your creative spirit to sort of guide you. And I promise you, it'll take you to where, like George Bernard Shaw said, if you create a hero within yourself, God will send an author to write its part. Now, I'm an agnostic, but it's that idea that, writers are waiting to write your story, that creatives are waiting to write that, and just create yourself that hero. And once, you use your creativity just like you do on stage, just like you do on film, just like you do in all your classes, do it and see the business differently. I think that you will come to it like a child. You will play. And if you are still playing within your career, I think you will have a long ride with it. I think just use that creativity, man. That nobody can take that away from you.
Nobody.
Yeah. That's
awesome.
beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. You guys are wonderful. So much fun.
Gracias,
So
amiga.
much fun.
Thank you.
If you'd like to follow these ladies on Instagram, you can follow Arely at Arely Araniva and Laura Vega at Rainway Vega.
Yes, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Rikiki Productions. Also, don't forget to leave us a message, comment, or any questions you may have for us on Facebook or Instagram at Rikiki Productions.
Yes, and make sure that you are subscribed to all of our podcast platforms so you can stay up to date on all of our latest shenanigans. We post new episodes of WtFun podcast every other Friday. Thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.